Hello there, this is Nova Valentis, and today we're gonna go over my Vindicator fitting that I use for the emerging conduits. It's probably not perfect, but that's what I use, and I can do 5 to 6 minutes in the conduits, depending on the spawns and stuff. So per hour it's around 10, often 9. Really depends on how they go and how far you have to warp. So everyone was asking me about the fitting, but I don't want to give out the fitting without explaining the implants because they give you a boost in armor wrapping amount, and therefore you can fit it with less tank and more DPS. So let's get right into it. Oops, wrong button. There we go. And the fitting. At the moment I can only fit Meta 4 guns. They work. Let's see if I can one-shot targets reliably with Tech 2. In theory, would be possible. So I'm also going to link the fitting in the description or, well, in the comment probably. This is more, I think you can only use this fitting reliably if you have the implant set, and I'm going to show you that too. It's like a cheap Asclepian set. The X-type large armor wrapper is not as expensive as one would think. It's around 200 million. That's the only shiny module on the fit that you really need uh, in order to make it work. The rig slots, that was just from the previous build, so I'm not sure if they're perfect. They're not adjusted. It tells you that the cap is 10 minutes, but it's gonna last you guys. You're gonna do them in 5 minutes. You're gonna land on the next one with around 70% cap, and that's gonna be enough. For the first wave, you almost don't need to activate the wrapper. I activated in the middle of the second wave. Large cap batteries, Tech 2 are fine. You don't really need the Republic fleet. It's just what I had laying around. I'm gonna get to the abyssal webs later. They are just Tech 2 webs that are a little bit modified. And the fancy target painter you don't need either. You can also use a Tech 2 target painter if you have the skills, or a Meta 4. It's gonna work completely fine. On the Python charts, it still shows that it's a little bit better than the tracking computer would be. But in reality, I tried the tracking computer, and the target painter just always comes out on top, especially in the first wave when you're still slow boating inside the spawn, if you use my trick in the previous videos. So I don't know. I don't want to get rid of the target painter. It just makes it much quicker than tracking computer. I thought tracking computer would be great because it's one less module you need to take care about, and you can always double web the first target. Then you one-shot the first target, so it's already pretty damaged. You uncycle the first web, put it on the next target, so it's pre-webbed and pretty slow. And with the last shot, it's already slow. It's under Vindy web, so it's not gonna speed up a lot. And the second shot is gonna kill it. If it's, well, destroyers too. Except for the Soraya destroyers, they're a little bit more tanky. I think you need 3 shots for that. When it comes to skills, the Vindicator has bonuses for the Galante battleship in terms of tracking speed. Really important. I already had that on 5. And the strength of the web, how much it's going to slow down the target. That's determined on the Minmatar battleship skill, and I only had it on 4 when I started out flying this thing, and it made a huge difference to have it on 5. So you can fly it at 4, but it's much better on 5. And this beast not only puts out a lot of damage on paper, but if you use it somewhat right, it also applies that DPS because of the Windy webs. You basically have stationary targets that are sitting right in front of your blasters. It's gonna work. So, all right, those are all the modules. Nanopump um, makes your wrapper more powerful. Also, overheating. If I get really strong waves and I started wrapping a little bit late, I overheat this, and it's not a big issue. I never go dock up and repair because it's just a waste of time. It only gets like, I don't know, if you run a bunch of cycles, it gets like 10% damage or something. So if you do 10 sites per hour and you only get 3 of those spawns where you need to overheat, you can dock up at the next citadel after the 1 hour because you should do a break anyway and repair it. Alright, so that's that. Let's go into the implant for this. Also, gunnery skills, you should have the tracking skill and the optimal range skill pretty high up, if not perfect. Alright, the Asclepian set I use, you can mix mid-grade and low-grade. Low-grade are cheaper, and the higher the slot, usually the more expensive are the implants. So the higher slots I just chose by price. And I looked at the Python stats, how much more reps I'm gonna get out of it, and it was enough for me. But I originally already had it for a different PvP fitting, so this slot is wrong. If you only want to do this Vindicator rating stuff, this isn't helping you at all. Slot 8, the source hyperlink, it gives you 5% bonus, I think, for micro warp and afterburner speed. Yeah. So since this doesn't have a prop mod, it's completely useless. But what you could fit, especially if you have bad cap skills, you could put a 3% capacitor implant in there. Uh, that might help your fitting a lot, especially if you don't have really good cap skills. There's also skills that reduce the amount of cap used by the webs and target painter, but probably anything to do with the wrapper and guns is the best cap skills you can skill. I don't really know. Too long ago that I needed to train cap skills. The motion prediction implant helps you a little bit with tracking, 3%. If you have these on 3%, it's fine too. I just wanted to test if I get more damage out of it, if I can one-shot something, even without Tech 2 guns. But it happens very rarely. So that failed. So that's why I spent money to put the 5% in. Otherwise, I think 3% is the most bang for the buck solution. But I know if you guys do this as your primary income source and you really enjoy doing it, you might as well. But as long as it doesn't change the amount of shots you need per ret, it doesn't really change the site completion time. Another great tip would be to pick a system that is really small. This one is like 10 AU small, so you never have to warp further than 10 AU. That's also a good trick because a lot of time you waste on the next spawn. So also what I do as soon as I put in my MTU, which I forgot in the last site, great. As soon as I take in my MTU, I align to something like the sun or to planets close there and put my speed at 75% just on the off chance that the next spawn is going to be somewhere in that area. And then you're almost insta-warping. That saves a little bit of time if you're really trying hard to make the best time. Like one of my commenters is really trying to do. Pre-webbing is a big thing. So for the webs, let's check out the webs. They have those rolls, they have a little bit better range. And wood negative velocity bonus is pretty good. It's a positive. It's 62.1% without the bonus of the Vindicator. With the bonus of the Vindicator, it's almost 93%. And that helps you. The absolute speed when it's already slowed down doesn't really matter that much, but to me it seems like the time for them to slow down is reduced. It just felt like magic after I put on these webs. I had like, I don't know, 12 Tech 2 webs laying around, and then I bought the cheapest Abyssal Decayed something. Let me find it, what it's named. Yeah, this one. These I bought for, I don't know, 1 or 2 million per piece, like 10, 12. And then I rolled a bunch of times and I got 2 relatively good, relatively better webs out of it. And they just web stronger. So you can almost, if somebody gets a really good roll of a web, you could probably only use one web and put in the free mid slot, I don't know, a tracking computer without a script, or um, or even with, or sensor booster so you can lock up the targets quicker. I don't know, but a free mid slot would always be great. What else is there? The implants. Oh, the drugs. Yeah, there's a bunch of drugs. I'm gonna show you the rest that I have. Deadite paste. Sometimes if I mess up and I don't catch this Orion spawn, and it happens every now and then, I overheat my webs and to get more range, and well, it needs 1 or 2 nanites to repair, so I just do it. I don't like it to be damaged all the time. The drop booster, to me, it's relatively cheap. I bought them for 2 million each, and they last for 1 hour if you have okay skills, and you're gonna get better tracking out of it, and it's so much more convenient. I don't like to free shot anything, so it's it gives you better tracking, the drop booster. And tracking is important, especially in the beginning when your own ship is moving. It's not moving fast, but fast enough to mess up your own tracking. All right, that's the drop booster. If you use a different fitting, and I'm gonna show you some fittings in Python as well. If you use a different fitting, sometimes the hard shell boosters or exile booster for more wrapping amount can be useful if you get a hard wave and you don't want to warp off. But you also have the buffer of the structure, and especially if you have a damage control in there, the buffer does a lot. So let's go into the fittings. All right, this is approximately what I have right now. Yeah, pretty much. But with a cap management implant, because that's a sensible thing to have in such a thing, and also sensible other implants. And the implants cost around 700 million, it says. And ship total of a bill. So it's not super cheap. You could make it cheaper though. You could put a normal cap battery in here. Also works. T2 target painter makes it cheaper already. With the Core X type, let me check if I have a cheaper fit around here. Cheaper version. There we go. Oh boy, this is low damage, but it reps 415, and it actually has a good resist profile. This one, mine has a horrible, it has a huge explosive hole, but it still works. So that's the cheaper version. It's 741, so it's significantly cheaper if you wanna don't know though. You could overheat this and have 516 for a short amount of time if you really need. You could use um and you could use a hard shell booster. It's only 1 million. The ammo already costs for 1 hour. It costs like I don't know 3-4 million. So 1 million more for ammo. Come on, it's not that bad. I don't use the tungsten anymore. Used to be that I had this in just in case that other people were in the side and something was at range and I couldn't shoot and it was annoying me and I couldn't get the aggro. But at the moment I don't have the problem anymore. I just put in antimatter. So I have also made a super expensive fit. And this is, oh wow, not even Tech 2 rigs. This is really stupid expensive. Um, well, it isn't. It could have more expensive webs. It could have more expensive rigs, and it could have really, really expensive energized adaptives, but it wouldn't do better. This one, whew, look at the DPS on paper, 1900. But we can also look at a graph of damage if we change around a few things. What is the frigate called? Dama or something? Yeah. There's our simulated. Nope, that's too fast. The reds are going only like 300. So we're gonna open up a graph with Bud Spencer. We're also gonna open up Bud Spencer B, and then we're gonna change because B version already has the. God damn, why do I have a sucker here? B version already has. Oh, it has less cap because the different ammunition uses different amounts of cap. Oh, that needs to be tried out. And it also has the old slot layout that I used with 3 mag steps, 2 adaptives, and a damage control. Damage control also gives you bonus to the armor resist and gives you way more buffer in the structure if you ever need it, but I doubt with this one that you're gonna get much damage because the targets are gonna be dead quicker. So let's make a graph. And add the other fit, Spencer B. And change the range to maybe 12. So we get a nice. Ideal targets are not a good simulation. There is our red Damavik. It moves at 90 degrees, so worst case for us, but it doesn't move that fast. So we're gonna reduce it by 10%. So you're gonna see the damage application of Bud Spencer B, which is with Tech 2 guns, and I think with Void loaded. Let's check. Yeah, Void. And does it use the drop booster? Yeah, it uses the drop booster. Let's check it out without drop booster. Let's put it on 6.1. That's where they usually coast at. 1617. 1600. Gives a little bit more, but the volley damage might be more interesting if we can one-shot it. I already know that I can't one-shot it now, but oftentimes it goes into structure with one shot or very low armor, like 10% armor. So if we have just a little bit more volley damage, might be one shot, and that's the hope for the Tech 2 version. Yeah, and it only has 3 mag steps, so with 4 it might be even more. Let's check this fitting out. No drop is active. And there the drop is active. Damn. But this is only after a time, after you have already webbed it a bunch with the 2 webs. Now let's check out what it does without Target Painter. It's worse. Let's put in a, let's remember this number. 6,000. Put in a tracking computer. With a tracking script. And it should have the same. Nope, a little bit less, but in practice, it feels like much less. So in practice, those graphs are not, they're not written in stone. They're good for approximations, and so you can play around what damage you do at what range in theory if both webs were on a bunch of times. But if you just remove one web, it looks way different. See that? I wish I could simulate a little bit better web like my abyssal webs and see what they do. But I think in terms of application, I could try to remove one mag step and put in one of those application modules in there. That could be interesting to try out once I have the Tech 2. Another big thing for running those conduits, you could bring friends. And they would benefit from the payouts, especially if they're lower skill pilots. Gila, for example, that is not super expensive. It could help a lot in there. It would probably make it much quicker. It does, on paper, 500 something DPS, and those drones really should apply pretty well. And the rapid lights definitely apply. Especially if it's web, but you should never shoot the same target as the Vindicator. That would be wasted time. Even for an AFK alt, something like Gila with assisted drones would be good. And this one has 430 passive rep, basically, because it's all passive shield rep. I played around with destroyer fittings. The favorite one was some Algos fit. But in testing, it worked fine for like 10 sites. And then one site, my buddy got shot. He was salvaging at the same time with the Algos, and he did like 250 DPS with drones assisted. So it was good for me, was good for him. He got all the payouts every site. He got the salvage. So that was a really good deal. And you can bring up to 2 people in those conduits, and something something really high level is bringing links. So you can play around with this all day long, how much you want. Those link fits, it's mean because especially those kind of fittings, they're gonna survive. They can permatank, and something like an EOS is, or oh wait, that's something like an EOS also has very good drones, and I think even application bonus. Look at that tracking speed. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah. If someone has alt and runs it like this, it's a lot of ISK per hour. That's it for me. Have a great day. See you guys soon.